We've gathered here today, surrounded by a procession of decorative elephants, dearly beloved, to watch what I've been told will be one of the most spectacular marriages in the history of Married at First Sight UK. To the surprise of her new husband, Stephen Springett, however, I did not anticipate that the bride, Nelly Patel, would bring up a speedy divorce at the altar. I know that sparks may fly during that first encounter at the end of the aisle, and not always in a positive way, since I've binge-watched all 9 seasons, which, at around 30 episodes each, is more of a commitment than some prior couples made. Therefore, I was thrilled to be able to see the big day firsthand by attending one of the first weddings of the 10th series, which aired on Monday night. In the pavilion at the 16th century manor house North Mimms Park, a Bridgerton filming location that will, spoiler alert, be used for the filming of 3 other ceremonies later this week, I'm already enjoying the awkward banter between 2 sets of strangers. The set is cleverly designed to look like multiple venues. The crew is huge. Although the pavilion is a wedding venue that can be rented, I doubt that its adjoining room typically has a complete TV production control room and makeshift gallery where directors and producers can record the setup of the big day from every angle, though I know some couples who might find that entertaining. Given that Married at First Sight UK, or MAFS as we aficionados call them, routinely breaks Channel 4's streaming records, the scope of the operation shouldn't come as a surprise. The series was the most streamed title on any platform in October of last year, surpassing all Netflix content with 1.7 billion minutes viewed, or the equivalent of 3,234 years. With resident experts Paul C. Brunson, Melanie Skilling, and Charlene Douglas matching up couples they believe will complement each other, or, as cynics on social media suggest, might make great television together, the idea is straightforward, traditional matchmaking. The idea is that by making a formal commitment to one another, the couples are more likely to give their relationship a chance to succeed than they might have outside of the experiment, even though the wedding vows are not legally binding. As a huge fan of MAFS, I understand that this means that every couple in the experiment must begin their trips simultaneously, giving them a completely shared experience to rant about in the fiery dinner party scenes, in a very unromantic way. However, I'm still shocked to hear that the crew will divide up and travel to far-flung places like South Africa, the Maldives, and the Caribbean at precisely the same time to film the upcoming honeymoon slots. I had assumed that it would be less expensive and simpler to space out the jaunts so that they could be filmed independently. Susie Price, the executive producer of the series, tells me that it would be, but she also says that it's important to have this neutral starting point so that the couples are all experiencing the developments of their relationships in real time together, even if that means receiving calls from producers at weird hours from all over the world. Likewise, a military-style operation guarantees that no brides or grooms will encounter one another before the big reveal on the morning of the ceremony, which would be more than just unlucky on a MAFS wedding day. I watch with amazing accuracy as producers use walkie-talkies to coordinate the movements of Stephen's groomsmen and Nelly's bridal party, so that none of them get a glimpse of each other. Suddenly, an urgent alert is broadcast to the team, warning them that the bride's parents are about to pass up a stairwell. It's a very tight ship, and just seconds after the groom is escorted out of sight, the crew, together with the bride's family, receives assurance that the coast is clear. After months of intense interviews with the extremely thorough casting team, the bride and groom tell me they have completely rescinded any efforts to gain any insight to fully embrace the experience, because even the slightest hint would ruin the show's premise. Well, almost. I conducted interviews with both partners of the couple being married earlier today, a little nervous, so as not to reveal any personal information about them. Stephen, a gorgeous former football player, sits in a quiet room with wood paneling and video equipment. He assures me he is calm, very calm. The 34-year-old investment manager appears more composed than I am, as I worry about stepping on it. Even the idea of getting his white pants, which he has chosen to wear on his special day, is filthy, doesn't bother him. I think I'd probably be more nervous if I had to arrange the photographers, videographers, lighting, but it's in everyone else's hands, he said, adding that it might be because he isn't really planning it. All I have to do is meet a stranger, walk down, exchange vows, get married, and hopefully have my happily ever after. He's smiling, his teeth remarkably straight, and he's only half kidding about how relaxed he feels. He continues by telling me that he's pals with J.J. Slater and Peggy Lawrence, two former cast members of the show. Unfortunately, J.J. is currently dating reality star Katie Price, and neither of his friends are still with the matches that the three experts chose for them. However, Stephen, a father of two, and his family are well aware of what lies ahead. My brothers and sisters say, "This is just you down to a T," he laughed. Dating apps haven't worked for me, so if I'm going to meet someone, it's going to be through a show. I'm purely looking for love. Stephen explains to me that his composure and his surprisingly upbeat attitude are the result of a prolonged recovery time following a severe assault that ruined his football career in his early 20s and necessitated major facial surgery, including to his teeth. Perhaps since he has recovered from such pain, he is looking for anything other than a needy bride. The horrific experience was character building, he adds, with a calmness that I appreciate, and I'm already cheering for him to meet the one. For me, it's all about personality and energy. She can have blue hair, green hair, brown, blonde, black, or anything else, but if she's needy, it won't work right away, he says, dismissing appearances. I sense the energy Stephen is seeking right away. As I take a surprisingly quick walk around the bridal suite on the top floor of the majestic property, which is crowded with bridesmaids and cosmetics artists, I can tell right away that 30-year-old Nelly, who is sitting by the window, with the curtains pulled to prevent any peeking, has a lot of lively energy. She's wearing a traditional Indian-style wedding dress, which is a gorgeous deep crimson red with a matching veil. Although I've been told that the red will heighten the effect of her unexpected entrance at the ceremony, the most dramatic in the show's history, I think she would make an impression wherever she goes because of her endearing vivacity. She chirps excitedly, "I'm Nelly, I'm 30, and I work as a cosmetic dentist." I mentally tick off Stephen's gorgeous teeth as she describes her attire, saying, "This is what I would probably actually get married in. The South Asian community is not represented enough." Nelly, who goes by Nilima, shrugged and said, "This is an arranged marriage with expert help and free therapy throughout." She said that she is totally embracing the experiment because her parents had a successful arranged marriage. She laughs that she uses the AI chatbot ChatGPT to converse with men on applications because she's so tired of dating dusty men that she can't even bother flirting. She laughs that she also used the bot in a last-ditch effort to figure out where she was going on her honeymoon, and based on the few confirmed travel plans, she tells me categorically that she's heading to the Caribbean, with the assurance of someone who has done a great deal of research. "I don't want an arrogant bad boy," she groaned, describing her ideal partner as an honest, kind, and attentive man who is just not a D-word. "I don't mind physically as long as they're a decent person, but I just want someone who exudes masculine dominance. If not, I'll take over and take advantage of them." I am giddy with anticipation for this duo to meet, and she is anything but needy. Nelly's South Asian theme is reflected in the decorations of the pavilion, with elaborate elephant sculptures on either side of the aisle. As the guests take their seats, polite conversation breaks out between the two groups of strangers. The bride's party is from Manchester, and naturally they talk about which football teams they support, whereas some of the groom's family is from the Northeast, and they chat uncomfortably. We're still waiting for Stephen to arrive, and there's a noticeable sense of anxiety in the air beneath the draped ceilings and crystal chandeliers. They're all quietly but frantically trying to get any information about who their loved one is getting married to. Mother of the bride, Illa, breaks the tense silence just as everyone is running out of small talk by cheekily asking the groomsmen, "Is the groom as good-looking as his brothers?" Everyone laughs with a hint of hysteria. This is already everything I could have hoped for from a MAFS wedding day. While his soon-to-be in-laws are busy examining him, Stephen confidently walks down the aisle and strikes up a conversation with them. Her family must be excited as Illa, Nelly's mother, pulls out a pair of glasses for a closer look and affirms that he is just as handsome as his brothers. He smiles with that perfect set of pearly whites and makes jokes about his